Welcome to Module 8. This is the final module of the course. 7 sessions have covered everything the framework is: the process, the judgment layer, the human foundation, the partnership. None of it matters if nothing changes on Monday morning. This session is not a summary, it is an activation. I want to close not with a review of what was covered, but with a clear answer to the most honest question in the room. Given exactly where you are, what do you do first? 7 modules have covered the framework from every angle. The most important question now is, what lands? Something will have resonated. A concept, a moment in the feed loop story, something from one's own work the course illuminated. That something is where to begin. This is the most important slide in the module and possibly in the course. The permission trap is why most practitioners do not begin even when they understand the framework. The permission trap is sophisticated. It does not feel like avoidance, it feels like wisdom. Responsible restraint. Waiting until the conditions are right. The problem is that the conditions for individual practice are always right. Documenting one decision requires no team buy-in. Mapping one set of assumptions requires no organizational mandate. The binary, all or nothing, is what the trap installs. The exit from the trap is the recognition that individual practice is the beginning, not the consequence, of team and organizational change. This slide does 2 things in sequence. It recalls the Module 6 outcome quality distinction and uses it to introduce calibration as the metric that resolves the problem. The sequence is critical. The outcome quality distinction must come first. The learner must hear, we cannot use outcomes to assess judgment. Before they can hear, this is the metric that fills that gap. If calibration arrives without the setup, it sounds like jargon. With the setup, it lands as a solution to a problem that was already named. Calibration is the goal because it is honest about uncertainty. Calibrated practitioners do not claim perfect decisions. They claim decisions that were made with awareness of what was known and unknown, that updated when evidence came in, and that improved over time. That is achievable. Perfection is not. The maturity model is a calibration device. Its purpose is to help practitioners locate themselves so they can identify an appropriate next step. Most honest self-assessments land between Level 2 and Level 3. The path forward is one practice at a time, and the practice does not require the team to be at the same level. Decision documentation is the recommended starting point for a specific reason. It creates the raw material that all other practices require. Evidence tracking requires decisions that were documented before outcomes were known. Reflection practice requires decisions to reflect on. Assumption mapping is easier when the assumptions from prior decisions are visible. Decision documentation is the foundation under all 5 practices. 4 questions. 1 decision. Take 10 minutes. That is all it asks. The discipline, writing answers before the outcome is known, is the entire value of the practice. Memory is a confabulator. Within weeks of making a decision, most people cannot distinguish what they actually believed from what they reconstructed after seeing the outcome. Documentation preserves the actual belief state. That is what calibration requires. This slide exists to prevent the most common failure mode, quitting in the first 3 months. The curve is invisible in the first 3 months. Nothing feels different. The decisions are documented. The assumptions are mapped, but the feedback loops are too short for compounding to be visible. Most practitioners experience this as the practice not working and stop. What actually happens? The habits are forming. The material is accumulating. The calibration is beginning. In the following months, practitioners start noticing patterns in their documented decisions. They see where they consistently underestimate risk. They see where they consistently overweight positive signals. That pattern recognition is the compounding beginning to show. Feed Loop's 6-month example is the concrete anchor, not instant improvement. Cumulative improvement becoming visible only after the habits had time to compound. This is the story of how Feedloop's discovery practice actually began, not with a program or a mandate, but with one person deciding to document one decision. I tell this story because the permission trap is most persuasive when someone has just completed a course on discovery frameworks. The temptation is to think, I need to bring this back to the team as a whole program. That is almost never how lasting change starts. Maya's first decision document was probably not impressive. It was probably short, underdeveloped, and not fully honest about the assumptions. That does not matter. The habit is what matters. The second document is better than the first. The 10th document reveals patterns the first 10 days could not. The sequence on screen is how grassroots change actually works. Individual practice, demonstrated value, allies, impact, culture. None of those require a formal mandate. All of them require someone to begin. The distinction matters. A resolution is, I will start practicing discovery judgment. A decision is, I will document the go-no-go call I am making on feature X on Friday using the 4 questions on the decision documentation card and share the document with one colleague for feedback. The specificity is what makes the difference between a good intention and an actual beginning. The 4 questions of decision documentation are embedded in the closing reflection. The discovery practice pulse check is the companion reference. 10 minutes. A written output the practitioner can act on immediately.